Elon Musk is shocked to discover a black homeless woman teaching his millionaire son piano. Ethan Miller froze in place, his expensive shoes almost sinking into the cracked pavement of the city park. The low hum of traffic mingled with distant sirens, but all he heard was the soft notes drifting from an old, battered keyboard, rested on a faded blanket. At first, it didn't make sense. A woman, ragged clothes, tangled hair, rough hands, dancing over piano keys, and his son Jordan, sitting spellbound, eyes wide with pure wonder. "Is that Maya?" Ethan whispered to himself, heart pounding in his chest like a warning bell. He had no idea how he found his son here, away from the luxury of their penthouse, in a park crowded with strangers, weighing his wealth with harsh eyes. Maya, a homeless woman they barely noticed before, now teaching his boy something no private tutor ever could. His breath hitched. That raw sound, her fingers pressing keys with such grace, belied the layers be. The billionaire's kid with a street vagrant. Ethan saw the judgment, the mix of disbelief and disgust. A tight knot formed in his throat. Worry? Shame? Confusion? All at once? The sidewalk's grime seemed to reach up, dragging him slower into something he never imagined facing. Jordan glanced up and smiled, innocent and bright, licking his lips as if tasting this new, strange world. "Dad, Maya's amazing. She's like magic." Ethan swallowed. Magic? How could he explain to Jordan about the truth he hadn't uncovered yet? About Maya's struggle, a life crushed beneath cold nights, job rejections, and one brutal betrayal after another. He hadn't dared to look deeper, not until now. "I've heard her story," a passerby murmured nearby, catching Ethan's attention. "Lost her family when the shelter caught fire. Ended up out here. Crazy talent, though." The words stung. Maya wasn't just another face on the street. She was a monument of pain and survival. And here she was, teaching his son to dream beyond their gilded cages. But then a new shadow crossed Ethan's mind. News had spread fast. Investors circling like vultures, itching to turn Maya's story into a headline, a money machine. Someone already knocked at his door, pushing the idea hard. Documentary deals, interviews, charity galas. Exploiting pain for profit. Ethan's hands trembled as he glanced back at the piano, back at Maya, who smiled gently, unaware of the storm forming around her. Protect Jordan? Or protect Maya's story from being eaten alive by greed? The line blurred. The city's cold divide yawned wider, and he stood at its edge. Then his phone buzzed, a message flashing with words that froze him. Maya Miller. Blood test results. The truth he never asked for. A secret buried deep. Something that could change everything between them. Ethan's breath hitched again, his mind racing. How deep does this go? And how far is he willing to go to protect this fragile bond before it shatters under the weight of secrets? The city roared around them, but Ethan only saw two people separated by worlds about to collide. What is Maya hiding? And what will happen when Ethan finally unravels the truth? Hey! Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like. That really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Ethan stood frozen, phone in hand, heart racing like a runaway train. Maya Miller. The name echoed in his mind, a reminder of a truth too big to ignore. But before he could process the torrent of emotions, a chilling scream pierced the air. It was sharp, jagged, cutting through the calm moment like glass shattering. He turned, eyes wide. A woman, a stranger, stood there, face pale with horror. "Help! Someone help!" she cried, voice fraying at the edges. The crowd around them jerked to attention, gasping, like a collective breath held too long. Ethan's heart thumped wildly. "What's happening?" he murmured, stepping closer, drawn by instinct. Time slowed. He caught glimpses of panic in the eyes of bystanders, whispers flitting like shadows. "Oh my God, what's going on?" Maya, her fingers suspended over the keys, looked up, confusion shadowing her face. She didn't see what was unfolding. The world around them shouldn't have turned so harsh. Not here. Not now. Then he noticed Ethan's breath clouded. A figure stumbled out from the brush nearby, blood streaming down their arm, soaked into thin fabric. "Call 911!" someone shouted, and the crowd erupted into chaos. A mix of fear, concern, and curiosity filled the air. Some hands fumbled for phones, while others pointed, eyes wide. Ethan struggled to process the scene unfolding before him. Jordan, still sitting by the piano, didn't understand. He clutched Maya's hands, eyes wide and innocent, oblivious to the turmoil swirling around him. "Dad?" he asked, glancing from the commotion to the now still woman beside him. "What's wrong?" The air thickened, pressing against Ethan. Like a vice grip around his chest, he felt panic rise. "Stay here, buddy!" he called, though his voice wavered. His instincts screamed at him to rush forward to help, but his attention snagged on Maya, whose expression twisted from curiosity to horror. Then a medley of sirens sliced through the streets, piercing the growing panic. In that moment of discord, a woman collapsed. The world narrowed to the sound of her body hitting the ground with a sickening thud. A gasp rose from the crowd, hushed disbelief painting their faces. "Is she okay?" Jordan asked, innocence in every word. But the truth settled like a stone in Ethan's heart. This was no accident. Maya's eyes widened. She's my sister," she whispered, voice tremoring. Stunned silence blanketed the park, shifting the dynamic like light through dark clouds. A sister? The revelation struck Ethan like ice water. What had he thought he knew about her? "Your sister?" The words tumbled out, unsure and incredulous. Maya nodded, tears flooding her eyes. "I thought she was gone." Her voice cracked, weighted with years of loss. Ethan's mind raced as the pieces clashed together. The secrets between them seemed to unravel with each shaky breath. Who was Maya really? The truth of her existence twisted and spiraled, colliding with the revelation of their connection, the implications shattering his ideas of their worlds. Then the final twist. An officer rushed forward, recognition flickering across her face. "Maya Miller?" She stepped closer, urgency tightening her features. "You need to come, now!" But before a word could escape Maya's lips, the sirens crescendoed, drowning everything. Time warped, hearts pounding, uncertainty hanging heavy in the air. A sister? Law enforcement? Ethan glanced at Jordan, eyes wide, heart pounding. This wasn't just about music anymore. This wasn't just about worlds colliding. This was a reckoning. The city thrummed around them, a chaotic orchestra of fear and despair. He felt the grip of the unknown tightening, desperate to understand how deep this went. The moment held its breath, and Ethan stood on the brink, staring into the abyss of revelations that could shatter everything they thought they knew. What else lay hidden in the shadows of Maya's past, waiting to be unearthed? And how could he protect his son when everything teetered at the edge of disaster? The air crackled with unanswered questions, and the storm was only just beginning. Ethan's breath hitched again, his mind racing. How deep does this go? And how far is he willing to go to protect this fragile bond before it shatters under the weight of secrets? As if summoned by his turmoil, a commotion broke the delicate serenity of the moment. A figure burst into the park, frenetic, shouting and weaving through the crowd. A scruffy man with wild hair and clothes that hung from his frame like rags. "Get away from her!" he screamed, voice raw with desperation, pointing directly at Maya. "You don't know what you're messing with." Ethan's heart dropped. The world seemed to tilt, shadows twisting into dark shapes. Jordan, hearing the commotion, turned. He leaned closer to Maya, eyes wide, confusion painted on his small face. "Maya?" Ethan stepped forward, words tumbling from his mouth. "What is happening?" Maya's fingers stilled on the keys, surprise flickering in her eyes. I don't know," she breathed, her voice soft but steady. "It's okay, Jordan." The man, now closer, looked frantic. His eyes were wild, darting like trapped animals. "They're coming for her! You have to run! Maya! Now!" A hush fell over the gathering crowd, tension thick as a storm cloud. Ethan glanced around, sensing the mounting fear and disbelief. Who's coming?" Ethan pushed, heart hammering. Maya opened her mouth, but no words came out. She looked trapped, caught between her past and this unexpected burst from her present. Without warning, the man lunged forward, hands reaching for Maya. But Ethan instinctively stepped in, body tensed. "Get away from her!" he yelled, anger and protectiveness surging through him. Maya touched Ethan's arm gently, trying to calm him. "It's okay, Ethan. He's mistaken. But then the man shouted again, louder this time, a mixture of rage and sorrow. "They'll take her, just like they took my sister. You think you can just ignore the system? They don't care about your money or your name." The crowd shifted, whispers rising, a collective murmur of disbelief and judgment. What's he talking about? Is he even real? She's just a piano teacher. Terror gripped Ethan's chest. He looked at Maya, who suddenly appeared both fragile and fierce. Was she hiding something more? Did this man know her? And why did his words slice through the air like a knife? Then, as if the universe had synced to a grim orchestra, Maya shivered visibly, her eyes clouding with memories. "No, no, please," she whispered, a flicker of recognition sparking in her gaze. "Don't you remember me, Maya?" the man yelled, voice cracking. "I came for you. You were supposed to help me. You promised." Ethan's head spun. Promises? Help? The pieces of Maya's story, those shadowy bits he had barely understood, began to swirl chaotically in his mind. Who was this man? The air thickened with unanswered questions. "I need to protect you," Ethan murmured, almost to himself. He wanted to shield her from the world, but suddenly, the very foundation of their connection felt shaky. A piercing scream erupted, slicing through the air, transforming the atmosphere instantly. Everyone turned, hearts racing. A child had fallen, crying out in distress. The situation cascaded into chaos. In that moment, with hearts pounding and eyes darting, everything twisted. Jordan's innocent, lit-up face morphed into unease. He pulled on Ethan's sleeve, panic flashing through his wide eyes. "Dad, what's going on?" And as Ethan looked at Maya, and as the chaos erupted around them, a shattering revelation struck him. Had she betrayed him? Had she known this man? And what if her life, or the lives of many, had unfolded in ways he could never have anticipated? In that electrifying moment of screaming children, frantic adults, and a man who claimed to know Maya, Ethan realized they were all teetering on the brink of something unimaginable. And the truth, it loomed larger, like a shadow ready to consume everything they held dear. What if the woman teaching his son music had a past interwoven with danger? What if the love they were building was built on deceit? The air crackled with uncertainty. Ethan swallowed hard. The city blurred, and he felt the weight of their worlds hanging by a thread, swaying perilously on the edge of revelation. Ethan's breath hitched again, his mind racing. How deep does this go? And how far is he willing to go to protect this fragile bond before it shatters under the weight of secrets? As if summoned by his turmoil, a commotion broke the delicate serenity of the moment. A figure burst into the park, frenetic, shouting, weaving through the crowd. A scruffy man with wild hair and clothes that hung from his frame like rags. "Get away from her!" he screamed, voice raw with desperation, pointing directly at Maya. "You don't know what you're messing with." Ethan's heart dropped. The world seemed to tilt, shadows twisting into dark shapes. Jordan, hearing the commotion, turned. He leaned closer to Maya, eyes wide, confusion painted on his small face. "Maya?" Ethan stepped forward, words tumbling from his mouth. "What is happening?" Maya's fingers stilled on the keys, surprise flickering in her eyes. I don't know," she breathed, her voice soft but steady. "It's okay, Jordan." The man, now closer, looked frantic. His eyes were wild, darting like trapped animals. "They're coming for her! You have to run, Maya! Now!" A hush fell over the gathering crowd, tension thick as a storm cloud. Ethan glanced around, sensing the mounting fear and disbelief. "What? Who's coming?" Ethan pushed, heart hammering. Maya opened her mouth, but no words came out. She looked trapped, caught between her past and this unexpected burst from her present. Without warning, the man lunged forward, hands reaching for Maya, but Ethan instinctively stepped in, body tensed. "Get away from her!" he yelled, anger and protectiveness surging through him. Maya touched Ethan's arm gently, trying to calm him. "It's okay, Ethan. He's mistaken. Just like they took my sister. You think you can just ignore the system? They don't care about your money or your name." The crowd shifted, whispers rising, a collective murmur of disbelief and judgment. What's he talking about? Is he even real? "Ooh, she's just a piano teacher." Terror gripó a Ethan's chest. He looked at Maya, que solamente se ha parecido frágil y fuerte. ¿Será que se escondía algo más? ¿Tenía que saber a este hombre? ¿Y por qué sus peladas tiraron cuchillo? Desde un grito persante cascada todo el aire, pestría el mal. Todos se voltearon. Aires gritaron. El niño había caído, llorando en estrés. La situación cascaba al caos. En ese momento, con miedo y con ojos desgatueados, el pánico a través de sus ojos. ¿De qué está pasando? Y a Ethan le entremetió indigna cita. Te remata todo inmediatamente. Pues estaba bello, y el caos estaba transformando en una bella fatal. Alguien me aproximó muy pues fainaran el negocio, y acaba la revelación. De nuevo pues, el niño se comportó en una situación. En ese momento, osando, se transformó. Jordan, y con Maya, en la cabeza, noto firme por el templo, se elevó per viento. No lo dicen. Se elevó per viento. Pero no se quejan para hacerlo como han. Had she known this man, and what if her life, or the lives of many, had unfolded in ways he could never have anticipated? Suddenly, the chaotic scene froze. Time stretched, hearts thumping louder. The scruffy man stepped back, breathing heavily, their eyes locked. You don't know the truth. You think she's just some street musician? She's more than that. She's... A figure emerged from the shadows. A police officer, storming through the crowd. She pointed directly at Maya. Maya Miller, you are under arrest for fraud and identity theft. Gasps erupted, a wave of disbelief washing over the park. Ethan's pulse raced, disbelief flooding his senses. What? No, she... But his voice fell into a void of confusion as whispers rang out, the crowd buzzing. Maya shook her head, tears welling in her eyes. No, please, she choked out. You've got it wrong. The officer stepped forward, voice stern but edged with sympathy. We have evidence, Maya. You can't run from this any longer. You have to come with me. Now. Ethan's world tilted. The space between the truth and illusion cracked open. Maya's past was not just shadows, but a tangled web of lies that might have trapped them all. How had everything spiraled into this moment of chaos? Is it true? He asked, desperation clawing at his throat. Are you? Who are you really, Maya? The truth shimmered just out of reach, and in that instant, as everything he thought he knew crumbled, he stood on the edge of an abyss, lost, unmoored, and gripping desperately for the next breath, wondering just how far the secret ran. What did Maya hide within the shadows? And what would be left of their world if the deepest secret came crashing down? Ethan's heart raced as he stared at the message on his phone. Maya Miller, blood test results. That truth, buried and hidden, felt like a brick in his stomach. He was about to hit read when an electric shock ripped through the air. Suddenly, a piercing scream cut through the calmness of the park. A woman in the crowd shrieked, "Look out!" before chaos unleashed. Ethan's eyes darted towards the commotion. A flash of movement. A man, wild-eyed and raving, surged through the throng. He crashed into the group surrounding Maya, sending her keyboard crashing to the ground. Its keys scattering like fallen leaves. "What the hell?" Ethan shouted, adrenaline surging. The man's face was twisted, and he shouted something about betrayal. Maya's smile faded. Her eyes widened, fear replacing the wonder she had shared with Jordan just moments before. The crowd gasped. Chatter turned into a cacophony of panic. People backed away, staring in disbelief. "Maya!" Ethan yelled, pushing forward. "Get away from her!" But before he could reach them, Maya's expression shifted. Something dark flickered behind her eyes. It was as if she recognized the man. "Please don't," she said, her voice trembling yet sharp. "Don't what? Don't expose you?" The man laughed, a mad sound that twisted Ethan's insides. "You think you can just pretend you're some star on the rise? You'll burn, Maya. I know the truth." "What truth?" A whisper. Ethan didn't even realize he'd spoken until his own voice echoed back to him. He froze, caught between confusion and ferocity. Jordan, still transfixed, clung to Ethan's leg, feeling the uncertainty radiating off him. The man leaned closer to Maya, his voice low and menacing. "You think they'll love you for your talent? They'll love you for the story. And I'm the one who knows it, Maya. You can't hide from me." Ethan's mouth went dry. Hide? What did this man mean? Maya's face paled, revealing a truth etched in her expression. "Get away from me!" She screamed. But it was too late. The crowd's whispers surged louder, a wild wind that turned their breaths into accusations. "Did you know, rich kid? Did you know she was once the star of the very show you watch?" Ethan's pulse quickened. "Star? What show?" Questions tumbled in his mind, intertwining with deadly uncertainty. He glanced back at Jordan, who looked bewildered. Suddenly, a voice rose above the noise. "She was famous how long ago? Why are you here, Maya? To dance for the hunters and claim your throne again?" A man in the crowd shouted. "You were a legend. We lost you." Ethan's world tilted. Everything he thought he knew about Maya shattered into pieces. A sprawling fame lay beneath her tattered clothes, hidden in her music, buried in her eyes. How could she have been anything but the beautiful teacher, the untamed spirit who found magic in simple moments with his son? The chaos swirled, the crowd a living organism, reacting, judging, hungry for drama. Maya turned away, tears escaping down her dirty cheeks. A storm of shame battling her defiance. Ethan's breath caught. Protect her? Revealing her past might double her pain. But wasn't he also the guardian of his son's innocence? A siren wailed in the distance, nearing, impending. Ethan knew he faced a decision that could unravel everything. In the bustle of curiosity and judgment, a question begged on his lips. What else was Maya hiding? And as the crowd leaned in closer to the drama, he realized a truth, one poised to alter everything between them. Was she truly the woman he thought he knew? Or was she a ghost, haunting her own story with secrets too heavy to bear? Ethan's breath hitched again, his mind racing. How deep does this go? And how far is he willing to go to protect this fragile bond before it shatters under the weight of secrets? The sound of the piano notes faded into a hush as Maya's fingers paused. Suddenly, a loud crash jolted him from his thoughts. A pile of garbage containers tipped over nearby, causing startled gasps among onlookers. A group of teenagers had come barreling through the park, laughing and shoving one another, searching for trouble. The laughter turned to shouts when one of them yelled, "Hey, look! It's the rich kid! and the homeless lady. Ethan's heart raced. He could feel the weight of hundreds of eyes on them, a mix of curiosity and condemnation. The laughter faded, replaced by murmurs. What a freak show. Bet she's just using him. Maya, let's go, he said urgently, desperate to shield Jordan from the cruel remarks. But Maya's brow furrowed, her hands clenching the keyboard. No, Ethan. Jordan deserves to hear this music. It's important, she insisted, her voice shaking slightly. She turned back to Jordan, who was still smiling, enchanted by the melody. But then, just as all seemed to settle, a scream rang out across the park. Everyone's heads snapped in the direction of the noise. Two figures were fighting, a man and a woman, grappling over what looked like a small backpack. Ethan's stomach dropped. Jordan, oblivious to the chaos, jumped to his feet. "Dad, look!" Before Ethan could grab his son, the man broke free, knocking the woman to the ground. A moment of stunned silence followed. Then, everything erupted. "Call the cops!" someone shouted. Cries of panic spread through the crowd like wildfire. Ethan's chest tightened. He shot forward, adrenaline coursing, reaching for Jordan. But in that split second, everything changed. "Ethan, watch out!" Maya screamed. He turned just in time to see a flash, a blade glinting in the sunlight. A figure from the scuffle had charged at him, eyes wild, intent on violence. Instinct took over. Ethan pushed Jordan behind him, feeling the shock of cold metal stop just inches from his chest. He gasped, heart pounding. The crowd recoiled, whispers turning to gasps. "What's happening? Is he okay?" Ethan's hands trembled as he shoved the attacker back. But in that chaotic moment, a sudden realization hit him like a brick. The attacker wasn't a random thug. It was someone from his past, a shadow he thought he had escaped. Someone who knew him, and knew Maya too. "Ethan?" Jordan's voice quivered, full of confusion and fear. The assailant sneered, recognition lighting his eyes. "You think you can hide from your past? You think you can just walk away? It's time to settle old scores." In that horrific instant, as the world narrowed around him, Ethan felt the ground shift beneath his feet. The connection between him and Maya vibrated with a tenseness he hadn't registered before. It was all tangled together: wealth, survival, love, and betrayal. "Dad, I'm scared," Jordan whimpered, tugging at his shirt. Ethan's gaze flickered to Maya, whose expression had changed, eyes wide and fearful. The truth was about to explode, and everything he thought he knew teetered on the brink of ruin. What secrets lay behind Maya's smile? And what would happen when the threads of their lives unraveled, revealing connections not meant to be discovered? The air hummed with anticipation. He held his breath. Ethan stood there, frozen like a statue, the phone still buzzing in his hand. Maya Miller. The echo of those words hit harder than anything else he faced that day. His mind raced, thoughts colliding, heart pounding. What did this mean? What truth lay underneath that name? Jordan continued playing, unaware of the storm brewing around them. Maya's fingers glided effortlessly over the keys, a melody stretching into the air, wrapping around the park like a warm embrace. But all Ethan could think about were the secrets waiting to explode. His gaze flicked back to Maya, her face illuminated by the fading sun, revealing lines etched by life's harshness and moments of joy intertwined. She drew his son into a world of music he had never known, while here he stood, caught in a whirlwind of fear. A sudden scream shattered the tranquility. "Help! Someone, please!" A woman's voice wailed from the nearby street. The air crackled, tension bursting like a pop balloon. Ethan's heart sank further as people turned, some rushing toward the sound, others pulling out their phones to capture what might unfold. Ethan instinctively moved toward the noise. "Jordan, stay with Maya," he managed to call. His voice felt strained, as if a tight band squeezed his chest. He pushed through the growing crowd, adrenaline spiking with each hurried breath. As he neared, a figure lay crumpled on the pavement. A man, bleeding from a gash on his forehead, thrashing in pain. People stood in stunned silence. A few were crying. Panic swept like wildfire. Maya's soothing music faded behind him, replaced by gasps and whispered prayers. Noise roared, chaos erupted, and suddenly Ethan's world twisted. He knelt beside the man, hands trembling as he assessed the injuries. "Stay still! Help is on the way!" His voice barely held against the panic rising. But through the commotion, a voice called from the crowd, sharp and piercing. "That's him! That's the man! He did it!" A young woman pointed, tears streaming down her face. The crowd gasped again, shifting their focus. Ethan's heart raced in a new direction. "Did what?" he asked, eyes darting around, seeking clarity. The young woman's voice didn't waver, filled with conviction. "He hurt my brother, right in front of me." The atmosphere thickened. Whispers now turned accusatory. Fingers pointed, anger brewing. Ethan looked from the man on the ground to the young woman. Could this really be true? A thought stabbed through him. Was the man somehow connected to Maya? His breaths quickened and panic wrapped around him like a noose. He spun into the crowd, desperate for answers. Maya, who had once brought innocence into Jordan's world, now stood just a few feet away, eyes wide with shock. Suddenly, everything shifted. Underneath that humble exterior, had Maya been cloaked in secrets too? A figure in a park, unseen struggles compressed into the chaos now surrounding her. "Did you know him?" he blurted out, breathless. Her face fell. "Maya." Their eyes locked, both trembling on the precipice of a truth neither could bear to confront. But then, without warning, the man on the ground screamed, "No! I didn't do it! I was set up!" Ethan staggered back as if the ground beneath him had collapsed. Tension surged. Faces twisted in disbelief as everyone frantically searched for certainty in the turmoil. Even now, as everything spiraled, what lay hidden between these lives threatened to tear apart the fragile envelope of hope they stitched together. What lay wrapped in deception, lies, and desperate truths? With Maya's identity shaking in the balance, how far would Ethan go to uncover the reality seeking to distort everything he believed? The air thickened with suspense as he stood amidst the crowd, drenched in uncertainty. Ethan stood there, frozen like a statue. The phone still buzzing in his hand. Maya Miller. The echo of those words hit harder than anything else he faced that day. His mind raced, thoughts see. What did this mean? What truth lay underneath that name? Jordan continued playing, unaware of the storm brewing around them. Maya's fingers glided effortlessly over the keys, a melody stretching into the air, wrapping around the park like a warm embrace. But all Ethan could think about were the secrets waiting to explode. His gaze flicked back to Maya, her face illuminated by the fading sun, revealing lines etched by life's harshness, and moments of joy intertwined. She drew his son into a world of music he had never known, while here he stood, caught in a whirlwind of fear. Then, suddenly, the man on the ground screamed, "No, I didn't do it! I was set—" "What do you mean you were set up?" someone shouted from the crowd. The tension was palpable, a living thing that clawed at everyone's throat. "I swear, they're coming for her," the man yelled, pointing wildly at Maya. "That's why I came here, to warn her." Maya's expression shifted, an icy chill washing over her. "Warning me?" Her voice shook. "What do you mean?" But then, without warning, a flash of blue lights illuminated the park. The police were here. Sirens blared, cutting through the chaos, urging everyone to move back. "Step away from the scene!" an officer bellowed, shoving people aside as he advanced. "We need space." Yet, in the chaos, as the officer approached Ethan and Maya, something cracked in the atmosphere. The wild man, still thrashing on the ground, suddenly shrieked, "You don't understand! She's my sister! She's the one they need!" Gasps erupted around them. The word sister hung heavily in the air, creating ripples of shock and confusion. Ethan's heart raced, a tension knotting in his chest. Maya's sister? What did he know about her family? Then came the authoritative voice of the officer again, louder. "Maya Miller, you are under arrest for identity theft and fraud." Maya's eyes widened, tears blurring her vision. "No, But the officer stepped closer, ignoring her protests. "We have evidence from the hospital and from family reports. You've been living on borrowed identity for years." "No," Maya cried. "I didn't steal anything. I'm not who you think." Her voice broke, and for a moment Ethan could see the truth drowning her, flailing in an ocean of chaos. He stepped closer, pushing Jordan behind him, wanting to shield both of them from this nightmare. "What are you hiding?" he demanded, the urgency rising in his voice. "Who are you really, Maya?" Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, a woman. She stumbled forward, breathless, eyes wild with panic. "Maya, please! It's not what you think." Maya recoiled in shock. "Tasha?" Ethan's world twisted as realization broke over him like a wave. "Tasha? What did that mean? And why did the name hit so hard?" "Get back!" the officer shouted, grabbing at Tasha's arm, but she dodged. "You have to listen to me. It's all connected. This isn't just about her." Before anyone could respond, Tasha lunged forward, knocking into Maya, and whispered something urgent that made Maya's eyes go wide. "No, it can't be!" A piercing ringing filled the air, drowning their voices as the crowd gasped collectively. The chaos had turned to fear, and they were now just spectators of a tragic unfolding. Ethan's pulse raced, truths and lies twisted together in a thunderous cacophony of emotions. What did Tasha know? How deep did Maya's past run? In a heartbeat, Everything shifted. He realized then Maya was not just a homeless woman with a gift. She was tangled in something much darker, and the truth was colliding like a freight train in the night. A truth that could shatter everything they had begun to build, shaking the very foundation of what they believed to be real. The air was thick with urgency, but in the next moment, Maya's hand slipped from Ethan's grip, and her eyes filled with a mix of fear and resolution. "I have to go! I have to find out what they want from me!" And with that, she turned, moving toward the shadows, leaving Ethan and Jordan behind, hearts reverberating with unanswered questions. The truth hovering just out of reach. Would he follow? Would they be left in the aftermath of a story still unwritten? The crowd held its breath, and the unknown painted the scene with shades of dread. Ethan felt a surge of panic as Maya stepped toward the darkness. The urge to react, but before he could move, Tasha's hand shot out, grabbing Maya's wrist. "You can't just run away. You need to face this." Maya whipped around, a mixture of fear and anger brimming in her eyes. "Face what? You don't understand. They'll make me disappear." Behind them, the crowd murmured, captivated by the unfolding drama. "What's she talking about?" someone whispered, eyes darting between the three. Ethan's heart raced, confusion washing over him. Was this all a setup? And then it happened. The man on the ground, the one accused of crimes, suddenly surged upward. A flash of metal glinted in the sunlight. "Stop!" he shouted. His breath was ragged, eyes wild with desperation. In one swift motion, he threw a small object, sharp and glinting, right towards Maya. Time slowed. The world shifted into focus as everything turned to chaos. A collective gasp ripped through the crowd, echoing like a sudden storm. "Maya!" Ethan shouted, instinct kicking in. He dove forward, pushing against the tide of bodies, desperate to reach her. But before he could, the metal object struck. Not Maya, but Tasha, catching her in the shoulder. She stumbled back, her face contorting in pain. Blood seeped through her shirt, darkening the fabric. "No!" Maya screamed, her voice shattering the air. The moment morphed from shock to horror, panic blanketing the park. Ethan's heart raced faster than ever. He reached Tasha first, hands trembling, as he tried to gauge the injury. "Tasha! Oh no! Please, stay with us!" Her breathing was ragged, eyes glazed. The chaos of the park roared around them, sirens blaring, the crowd swelling in shock, whispers amplifying the dread. "Maya, help!" Ethan called, feeling the fear coil tighter around him. Maya was frozen, fear etched in her features, her hands shaking at her sides. I can't!" But Tasha whispered weakly, "No, you have to." She grabbed Maya's hand, pulling her down, voice faltering. "You have to finish this. You know what to do." The words hung heavy in the air. What did she mean? What had Maya been a part of? Before Ethan could ask, the police swarmed in, guns drawn. "Get back!" an officer shouted, pushing through the crowd, eyes darting toward Maya. "You! Out of the way!" Ethan felt a cold sweat trickle down his back. What had started as a simple day in the park had turned grotesque so fast. "Maya!" he shouted again, desperate to pull her back into safety. "What is happening?" But just as Maya opened her mouth to respond, a heavy thud echoed behind her. The wild man who had first shouted about betrayal collapsed, clutching his chest. Shock etched into the faces of everyone as the realization dawned. "They got him too," someone whispered, voice trembling. The scene turned chaotic, people scrambling back in horror, some screaming, "Get an ambulance!" Ethan was lost in a whirlwind of confusion. The secrets, the lies, everything twisted around him like a knot in his stomach. "What is going on?" he said, this time more to himself than anyone else. Maya and Tasha exchanged a glance filled with a question Ethan could not understand. Then Tasha gasped, her grip on Maya faltering. You know who they are, don't you? This isn't just about music, it's more. They're coming for you." The dam burst. The air was thick with the weight of their shared past. An officer reached them, but Ethan didn't feel secure anymore. His world splintered, threatened to unravel completely. The lines between right, wrong, and the truth blurred dangerously. Maya's expression shifted, resignation washing over her, sorrow flooding her features. "I didn't want to go back to that life." As the sirens continued to wail, a chilling silence fell over everyone gathered. The impact of Tasha's words hung like fog, settling into the hearts of those who understood. This was not just a moment. Ethan felt the ground shift beneath him. "What next?" he whispered, overwhelming dread clawing at him. What had he gotten himself into? As Maya stepped back into the gathering shadows, the truth loomed, bright but terrifying. What had remained hidden in the depths of her past? And why was the darkness circling back now, threatening to consume everything around them in an insatiable swirl of secrets and lies? Ethan knelt beside Tasha, panic gripping him as he pressed his hands against the wound. Blood soaked his fingers, and a wave of dread crashed over him. "Stay with me, Tasha. Help is coming." Maya stood frozen, torn between fear and desperation. The chaos around them spun wildly as sirens wailed closer. People moved back, creating a circle of fear, eyes wide, murmurs spreading. "What's happening? Is she going to be okay?" "Get away!" the officer shouted, pushing back onlookers. But tension crackled like static in the air. Maya's eyes shifted from Tasha to Ethan, confusion turning to clarity. "I can help her," she whispered, stepping forward. "Are you crazy?" Ethan snapped, the adrenaline pumping through him. "You can't! Maya, please!" Tasha gasped, her voice barely more than a whisper. "You have to remember. Face what's coming. You'll know what to do." Ethan looked at Maya, his heart pounding as those words settled like ice between them. Who was she really? The woman he thought he was just starting to understand now seemed tangled in secrets too deep to comprehend. "Hold on, Tasha! Help's almost here!" Ethan shouted, his voice breaking under the weight of fear. But it was too late. Tasha confió. A weak attempt to smile. "Just tell them the truth, Maya, before it's too late." And with that, her eyes closed, breathing shallow, the moment hanging in the air like a fragile thread. "No!" Maya cried, collapsing beside Tasha, tears streaming down her face. The reality of the moment crashed over Ethan like a tidal wave. The world blurred as he reached out, trying to pull Maya back from the abyss. "We can fix this! Just tell them!" The charge of urgency snapped back as the police swarmed in, one officer grabbing Maya's other arm. You need to come with me. Maya, wait! He yelled, desperation slamming through him. He felt the knot in his chest tightening, holding on to the thread of each shared moment they had together. Would this really be the end of their fragile connection? Maya looked at him, eyes full of turmoil and pain. I didn't want this life, Ethan. I thought I could leave it behind. I just wanted to be... But you are not just that, Ethan interrupted, his voice trembling. You matter. You've changed everything for us, for Jordan. The officer's grip tightened, pulling Maya toward the squad car. But then Maya stepped back, a fire igniting in her eyes. No, I'm not going anywhere until I speak the truth. Time seemed to freeze. Everyone held their breath, anticipation thickening the air. I've been trying to reclaim what was lost. It wasn't just my fame. It was my family. They took everything from me. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. The crowd watched in rapt silence, a quilt of judgment and sympathy, sewn tightly together. A few murmurs echoed uncertainty, the stories clashing in their minds, wanting to know more but not daring to speak aloud. And in that moment, she stood vulnerable, yet fierce. No more lies, no more running. I want to take responsibility for my past. Ethan felt a flicker of hope, a burning ember amidst the chaos. He knew then he would fight for her, no matter what it took. She wasn't just a street musician. She was someone who deserved to find peace. Okay, he said softly, stepping closer. We'll face this together. Just tell them who you are. Tears streaked down her smudged face, but determination shone through. I will, I promise. And as the tension melted away, the sirens finally arrived, the world slowly regaining its breath. A sense of resolution swept through Ethan as he took Maya's hand, feeling her squeeze tightly in a moment of understanding. Let's rewrite our story, all of us, he whispered, the weight of the moment lifting ever so slightly. But just as he thought he could breathe again, a member of the crowd shouted, "And what about me? What about my brother?" Ethan turned, confusion spilling over as questions flickered in the crowd once more. The once orderly chaos had transformed into a new eruption of complicaciones. The unknown lingered. The story was not over. Secrets led to more secrets, and Maya's past still shadowed their future. As everything swirled around them, Ethan realized they were at the cusp of something bigger. A chance for truth, healing, and perhaps a new beginning. And as the police continued to sort through the chaos, he felt one truth resonate in his heart. They had to face whatever came next, no matter how dark the shadows became. Now, if you loved this emotional journey and want more incredible stories, you have to subscribe now. Don't miss out on the exclusive content coming your way. Smash that like button like it's your last chance to show your support. And please, flood the comment section with your reactions and theories about the ending. What do you think will happen next? Don't wait even a second.